Hello, and welcome to Create Utopia with me, Chicory, and my co-host, Zero. What are we playing today?
Today we are playing Civ 5, Brave New World expansion. So like most of the expansions to Civ 5.
What makes it Brave New
While I
Worldy? Is it like more steampunky? Right? Like that Brave New
ig- ig-
World is like the
ignoring
sci-fi.
ignoring the question of whether Brave New World is steampunk.
Well, there's like a
Brave
factory
New
in the
World
background. It's like shiny and metal. You know,
Yeah,
it's
Brave New World introduced stuff like tourism into the game and like investigating historical artifacts. So like once your culture grows up, even though your culture starts in like pre-agriculture times, well, the very start of agriculture, later on you can not only investigate your own like historical relics and get tourism bonuses from it, you can get other people's historical relics because they belong in a museum.
they do not in their own museum, but rather in our museum.
Yeah, right. It's like the British and the Egyptians.
Exactly. Sadly, or the Americans
Yeah.
and the Mayan.
Yeah. Like
Yay!
lots of good cultures doing good things. Who do you want to play as?
Ooh, ooh, I don't know. The Celt, is it Celts or Celts? I've never super figured that one out. Zero.
Let's go with Celts.
Okay. Keep going. Keep going down, please. Darius looks cool. You know, I choose these basically 100% on like looks, right, and like names.
That's fine. You don't have to play them.
Basically, Spice Islanders, Gandhi, Genghis Khan, same guy with the mustache. Uh, Bluetooth. That's a new guy, right?
No, he's been there.
Oh
I've played as
well,
him before. He's
I've
fine.
never played as him before. The
I know you
Iroquois.
haven't.
Blah blah blah. Montezuma, Napoleon, Japan, Ramses the Second. Back for revenge.
Ramses.
Well, what? Okay, go back to the top-ish. Definitely not Washington. Okay, now you have to scroll down a little bit. I said top-ish.
Yeah, but I don't know where that means. So I just go
Let's
to the top.
do. Let's do. Let's do. What is the Polish guy? Wait, down one more, but maybe Polish guy. Polish guy, top contender right now.
Casimir the Third.
Yeah, Casimir. That's a cool name for a guy.
Yeah.
Darius is cool. Oh, let's play Bluetooth since I hadn't heard of him before.
You want to play Harold?
Is that his name? Harold. Harold. Might as well be
Harold
named
means great leader.
Larry.
No, Harold actually means great leader.
Oh, so does Larry.
Does it?
No, I don't know.
No, you're just lying. I wanted to call you out on it.
I am. That was a lie. I don't know what Larry means, but it probably doesn't mean great leader. This is like herald, as in it's heralding of the time, right? Or something.
Yeah, you should look up what Harold means. It actually has a neat etymology. And if I look it up, we'll just get a black screen.
Okay.
I'll look it up if you want to click on your face.
I'll look it up really fast. You like get the world started.
Alright, I'll get that set up. If we're playing the Vikings, I'm going to kind of cheat and make a watery map.
I feel like that's understandable. Okay. Herald. Oh, it like came up. Herald Bluetooth. Royalty and
That's
nobility.
good.
Blah blah blah. This will be a little bit of a history lesson right here.
This whole episode is going to be a history lesson based on the topics you picked.
Oh yeah,
No,
speaking
he's wearing a
of,
dead fox. You're the worst.
dude, people wear dead bunnies all the time. Super soft fur.
That's true.
So this week we're talking about a little bit of things that we haven't really gone over or went over last week, which is what is government for and what is the government supposed to do and how are they supposed to do it? They being the government. And sort of like I had a couple questions about capitalism and the inflation and like if that's like a good thing or if it's like just a conceptual kind of thing or if it's damaging or positive or what. And sort of about like the why we can have basically limitless inflation versus having the gold standard. And
Yeah,
then
because
on to
money's a
protein powder
construct.
and soylent food. And then close to my heart, the Santa Barbara pipeline that just burst. And also solar paneling. Yay! So,
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Denmark's conversion to Christianity, which is one of the things on the Herald's Wikipedia page.
Did you just look up meaning of name Harold? Because what do you want to name our first city?
Oh! Uh, Haraldsburg?
Right now it's called Copenhagen.
Copenhagen seems like a good name. But Haraldsburg or Saint Haraldsburg? Oh, do we have to buy it?
No, we should just be able to rename it. I just kind of forgot how.
Hmm. What would you name it?
I don't choose those sorts of things. I'm
That's
not the
true.
boss.
Clearly, it should be named Chicoryburg.
Copenhagen. What do you want to build first?
Um, uh, Scout or worker? Maybe? I don't know.
A scout's not a bad choice.
Okay,
Let's
well
do a
then go with
scout.
Scout. Do Scout. I don't know. This is
Because then
your
they can scout.
freaking, like, job, okay? Is to play the game.
That's true. But what technology do you want to research first? I'll build the stuff, but you have to decide what technology you want.
Let's do maybe pottery.
Okay. And give me a general overview of how you want your society to behave.
Um, Rule by land and sea, like the Atreides, right?
So do you want an Atreides style society?
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever that
we'll,
means.
We'll go
What
for
is an
Atreides
Atreides style society?
I guess you'll find out. It means
Ah!
that you don't leave all your guidelines up to your mentat. um, or maybe it means you do leave them all up to your mentat. Anyway, it means noble while exerting military pressure. How's that sound?
That sounds good. That sounds really good. Class A.
All right. So now, what did you want to talk about?
Okay, so what did I want to talk about? Oh, okay. What is government for, Zero? Like we were sort of glossed over this last week, and like as though it was an assumption, and I really want to nail down like what is government for. I think that this is like the root of a lot of people's discussion and like debate of like political doodads and parties and things without actually talking about, well, this is what I think the government should do versus this is what I think government is not about. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. And I certainly think it's interesting. I have always been under the impression that the job of government is to take care of the people. Obviously, this means mass assassination.
What?
Take care of them, in a colloquial sense.
Oh, like, I'm gonna go take care of Babyface Joe.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. I understand your problems with Babyface, and we aren't going to talk about them on the podcast. Vlogcast? The show?
Vlogcast?
The show.
The show. Always just the show.
Your problems with Babyface will be relegated to the back burner of history.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, it's... And
I looked up
ultimately the
government
issue
in
with
like
that-
dictionary.com, and like they just say a former system of rule by state, community, etc. is governed, direction, control, management, and rule, a district governed, a province, blah blah blah. And but America is like, what is the words? American government for the people, by the people, right?
Yeah, that's ostensibly what our government is for.
So it's for our people, as in all of the people. Not some of the people. Not just the people that we like and agree with. But all of the people.
That's true.
Right?
I don't disagree with that statement. Yeah, that's presumably what America goes for. I just don't always think we're very good at it.
Well, no.
What do you want to
Because
work on next?
sailing?
Sure, we are the Vikings.
We are the Vikings. After that, I'm going to be lost a little bit. But definitely sailing to start out with.
All right, I'll give you some advice after sailing.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's the government's job to take care of the people when everything else is failing them. Like, there's a basic assumption that people cannot always take care of themselves.
But isn't that what
that
some
I
government, some ideologies say that, like, well, people should be able to take care of themselves. Government should just be really hands off.
well, I'm an outerkist. I think people should be able to take care of themselves. I'm also believe in reality, and in most reality, people just aren't very good at taking care of themselves. Like, it's not laziness or anything, it's that sometimes the tables just turn against you. Like, sometimes if one person is trying to take care of themselves and another person is trying to take care of themselves, one person has to lose. And eventually, like, if enough persons start to lose, it starts hurting our society. Because sometimes you end up losing due to, like, a Thomas Edison Nikolai Tesla thing.
What do you mean?
Hey, cool. Where a
Yay!
guy's just not, like, where one person is just stealing ideas or not playing fairly, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you don't have the resources. And it's kind of the government's job not to level the playing field necessarily, but to make sure that that there's a fair playing field, even if it's not an equal playing field.
Hmm.
I mean, like, American football does a really good job of, like, one team is defending and one team is attacking. They're not necessarily equal teams, but the field itself is fair.
I guess that's true. I don't know. I guess I just worry sometimes when it's like you say people aren't really good at taking care of themselves and the government should step in, and then I'm like, well, there are some things that I'm really good at taking care of myself for, and some things that I'm really less good at taking care of myself for. Like, I really, 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 really like sugar, and it's not very good for me. And like, I could get diabetes, and I don't have like a family history of it, but I could still like happen to me. Like, it's not a healthy thing. I have like bad teeth and stuff because of it, and it's just not healthy. It's not good for me. I still like to do it. Or people smoke, and it's not good for them or for me.
I don't think the government should step in. I think that there should be a safety net for when people are placed in circumstances beyond their control that are bad. I don't think the government should step in just because you're doing poorly, but I think that there should be, hey, we met Consul
Whoa!
Elizabeth of England.
Welcome to England. Or she would say, welcome to England. Let's hear your offer.
Do you want to make a joint declaration of friendship? We are the
Mm,
Atreides.
okay, for now, until we can. Wait, no, are we playing like Atreides or are we playing like Vikings?
I don't know. You said Atreides.
Okay, we'll play like Atreides.
We don't have to.
For
We can
now.
play like Vikings. England is now protecting Wellington. Jeez, they're getting serious. But that's the thing. Like, essentially, I don't think the government should protect any particular person. I think that there should be an acknowledgement. Oh, what social policy do you want to adopt?
Well, we're
Tradition, liberty,
Atreides, so
honor, or
probably
piety?
honor or tradition.
Or liberty? I mean, we are Atreides.
Mm, let's do tradition
Cool.
with the hawk.
Tradition it is. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, in the mass group of people, there are going to be people who win and people who lose. And I don't think the winners need help. But I think that it is entirely possible to lose in this life through things that you have no control over.
Yeah,
Often, that thing
like
you
if
have
you
no
get
control
really, really
over
sick,
is called other
that's not
people.
really your fault. If you get cancer, that's not your fault. Unless you like
Yeah, well, or
hang out around like
even
open
if a
radiation or
family
something.
member gets really sick, and because there's no safety net, like, seems likely.
Yeah.
Like, what if you die unwitnessed?
Ah, how will you get to
Think of how horrible that would
Valhalla?
be.
That'd be so horrible.
Right. There should be a Valhalla safety net for people who die unwitnessed, is what I'm saying.
Bless the
Uh,
V8. May they be
V8.
shiny and chrome.
V8. Yes. Yes.
Anyway,
Now that we've derailed onto that tangent,
oh my god, we
go
need to
see
have a
Fury
tangent
Road.
about just Fury
Ah.
Road. Anyway, we'll come back to it sometime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that people lose out for what is essentially no fault of their own. And, like, maybe you're some person who's going to school and has a really good chance of doing something amazing, and then your parent gets sick, and you have to go take care of them. That's not your fault. If there was a safety net, you might not have to go back and take care of them. You might choose to anyway,
But you
but
wouldn't
maybe you
have to
just
like
don't
be
have
forced
the
to.
option initially.
Okay.
And
So government is supposed to be like
that's a
sort
really
of like a
important thing to
familial
make.
like safety net. Not like a big sister, but like an uncle. Not
But
like an
you were
uncle, but
saying,
like an aunt. Not like a nanny, but like maybe like an uncle. And then I thought about that and was like, no, that's weird. Maybe like an aunt. An aunt that like you can like trust.
can you not trust your aunts?
I can trust my aunts.
I just find it
Most of
really
them.
interesting you had to specify that you can trust.
I'm not gonna make assumptions about other people's families.
That's fair. Uh,
But I think that most people might have an aunt that they could trust, or an aunt-like figure
tradition,
that they could
liberty,
trust.
honor, the aristocracy, or the oligarchy?
Your screen went black again.
Let me restart it real quick. Click on your face while I
I am.
restart.
I'm giving myself a little
Click on your
princess
face.
crown.
Anyway, we can keep talking about the nanny state issue, the big brother big sister issue. You have to
Yeah.
keep in mind that when George Orwell wrote 1984, he was making a comment on how these sorts of societies name themselves.
Oh yeah.
The idea of a big brother itself may or may not be a bad thing depending on how it's set up, but George Orwell's big brother is definitely bad. You
Well,
have to
what would make a Big
confuse the
Brother
parts
that
that are
was
fiction with the
be
parts that are not.
okay? I mean, like, um, it just seems like any. I don't know. My Big Brother, I love dearly, but I wouldn't want a state designed how he was a Big Brother. Does that make sense?
Nice. That looks like Hearthstone and not Sid Meier's Civ 5. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I hope he doesn't listen to this, you horrible person.
He's not a terrible person, okay? He's a good person.
Um, no, I said you. I hope he doesn't listen to you,
Oh,
horrible person.
I am a terrible person. That's true. Sorry. Okay, well, going on.
But yeah, the thing is that civilization, as one of my partners likes to point out, is people looking out for each other and then enforcing things that help other people look out for each other. And if we want our governments to represent civilization, that's what our government should do. It's what I find really odd about the people who support the idea of straight capitalism is that capitalism doesn't look out for people. Everyone supports straight capitalism because they assume they're going to be rich or they assume they're brilliant. But a very small percentage of people are actually those things. But lots and lots of people can make small contributions that overall make the country better. And by ignoring, like, the idea of having a healthy workforce to run companies and to do things for the country is something often overlooked by those people who are very heavily in favor of a purely laissez-faire system because as like the turn of the century showed us, a purely laissez-faire system tends to result in a lot of sick and a lot of dying workers. It doesn't always result in a crash, but
So you're
because
talking
there
about
is
like
no
the right before the stock crash of like 29 or whatever, right? 19.
No, I'm actually talking about the rail barons and the early industrial revolution.
Mm-hmm. But didn't they have things like
I'm not even talking
private
about the Great Depression.
museums and stuff like that that like were supposed to help like the I don't know, but they made like unions and things. That wasn't necessarily controlled by the government. That was just workers working together,
Well, unions are socialism.
right?
They're not laissez-faire capitalism. Unions came out as a reaction to things like railroad barons. I was specifically referring to the people who want pure laissez-faire capitalism. The idea of unions, which then lobbied the government for things like the 40-hour work week and weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a union idea. A lot of the stuff we take for granted now, like holidays, were socialist ideas initially.
Yeah.
And a lot of people wouldn't want to give them up, even as they call themselves, like, libertarians and things. Some people would. It's not 100% of people.
That's true. Everybody's sort of
But
individualistic.
can you see the screen again?
Yes, I can, and it's on.
All right.
Let's
you
do
want
honor.
Oligarchy, aristocracy.
Oh,
What now?
what is
Honor?
oligarchy?
Garrisoned units cost no maintenance, and cities with a garrison are 50% stronger with their ranged attack.
What does
So by
oligarchy
keeping troops in
mean?
our cities become stronger. It's from the root word olive, which is a plant that you can eat, and Garth, which is Wayne's friend from Wayne's World.
Okay.
Stacy, I don't even own a gun, much less enough guns to necessitate buying a rack.
But it's for
You
future
should,
guns that you might
yeah,
buy.
yep.
Anyway,
If you want to know what things mean, you should look them up on your side and then define it for the viewers. Many viewers may be asking that question.
I thought you
You
should
should just
know
like
off the
which
top
one?
of your head.
Which one do you want to look up? I do, but I like making you making you look things up and get the dictionary definition.
Oligarchy.
I can look it up on my phone.
I'm looking it up. Okay, it says a form of government in which all power is vested in a few persons or a dominant class or clique. Government by the few. A state or
Yeah,
organization.
that's actually how I was going to define it. I was going to say a government by the few elite.
Oh, well, but that's Atreides, right? Atreides is ruled by like just the Atreides family.
Well, you did pick tradition. We also have aristocracy, which
Let's
is
do
a government
oligarchy.
of aristocrats, which would also be what the Atreides were.
Which is what?
The Atreides were also a government of aristocrats.
Yes, they were.
So
They
they
were
fit both of those. So, but I mean, they're both in the tradition path anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're following.
Yay, good old
But yeah,
tradition.
that's the sort of thing. Hell yeah, Dune politics. That's the thing. Like, people tend to ignore all the bad things capitalism does when they talk about how they want laissez-faire capitalism, and they do it because they always believe they'll be running the companies and not living in the company town, essentially trading all your money for a place to live.
But what
It's
if
very
it was
odd.
a
It's
really
people who
nice
have no
place
view
to
of
live?
history. Then that's what companies should be doing anyway, but they clearly don't, because look, they don't do it right now. What makes you think if you give like companies less control over what they can get away with, they would suddenly make your life better when they don't make it better now?
I don't know. Why would we think that the government can fix it when the government can't fix anything?
Other governments do fix things. Lots of countries have socialized healthcare. Lots of countries have like better safety nets than we do. Not every government is created the same, nor is any like I mean, governments are ultimately reflections of the people who run them, whether that be a dictatorship or a democracy. If our government is dysfunctional, it says something about us as a society. And our society is capitalist. So if our society is majorly capitalist and our society currently doesn't function, there's no guarantee that more capitalism is the solution.
I see. Okay.
I mean, there's no guarantee that less capitalism is the solution, but like our country is clearly not functioning very well at the moment. So, I mean, that says something.
But like the best thing would be to have like a solid safety net while also having the most amount of personal freedoms, right? Like that would be the best.
That's a theory. That's certainly what like Bernie Sanders believes and a lot of liberals. Conservatives believe that the best way, depending on the conservative, libertarians believe that if you give companies more freedom, companies will start taking care of you, / you'll have so much money that you'll be able to take care of yourself by working for these companies. I disagree with that and don't think it matches up with history. I think you can look at the historical records when companies were less regulated than they are now and immediately see that that's untrue.
But if you look at sci-fi and you
when...
see dystopian futures, it's almost always because the government has too much power. And if there's one thing I've learned, Zero, it's sci-fi.
Well, I don't think that's true at all. What dystopian futures are you thinking of?
Oh, like The Giver.
Like, specifically. I'm serious.
And, yeah, I like The Giver and The Cure and 1984.
Isn't The Giver a conservative society, though?
What?
Isn't The Giver a conservative society, though? Like, the whole point is preserving tradition long term.
Sort of, like, over, like, a super long time. But it's like the government is still controls like every
your society
but the government still controls every facet of your life. Like you don't get to choose your spouse, you don't get to choose your job. You don't get to
Oh, that's
choose how
fair.
you
That's
spend your
fair.
time all the time.
But arguably, I mean, I guess that's true, but I guess there are, as we define it in our horrible two-party system in the U.S., there are liberal governments and there are conservative governments, and I think a lot of our dystopian futures are big government conservative governments, not big government liberal governments.
What do we mean by conservative versus liberal? Like conservative as in conserving how things are now, like maintaining the status quo, versus liberal, like changing the status quo?
Well, so first of all, make a decision on what technology you'd like next.
Writing? Or maybe mining? Do we need to know mining?
Not right away. We don't really have any mines near us.
How about archery? Because then we
We
can
can do
shoot off
writing.
of our ships.
All
Let's
right,
do
let's
writing.
do archery.
Okay, or archery.
All right, let's do writing. Nope, nope, writing it is.
Okay, last
You
call.
clearly
Writing.
believe in the power of writing.
Yeah.
Um, so there are lots of the weird thing is that in our country we don't have a very well defined conservative movement, which is one of the issues. Our conservative movement is actually quite fragmented, and then they all sort of vote for the same bad choices. We should really have three parties where we have a conservative party. We should have libertarians, we should have kind of the Tea Party, and we should have social conservatives. Social conservatives believe that the social mores of a country impact the direction of the country. That be like Mike Huckabee and Rick Santorum.
Okay.
Libertarians believe that the less government involvement in people's lives, the better people's lives will generally turn out. That be like Rand Paul and to a much larger extent Ron Paul. They often choose they often choose to decry people as statists when you disagree with them, which is amusing to me. And then we have the I'd almost call it the Tea Party has many sort of directions, but the one that they seem to most consistently follow is this idea they're mad that the country's on the wrong track now. And they don't really have a solution to fix it, except that they felt like things were better in the past, so we should go back to the past. Now, they don't have a specific past they want to go back to generally, but they have
But
this
it's
general
usually
idea
like.
that the past was better.
But isn't it usually like the Leave It to Beaver kind of past, like the glorified 1950s past?
Sometimes it's the 50s, sometimes it's the 80s.
What was so good about the 80s? Like maybe I've just seen like too much heavy
People,
metal and like too much like Dead Kennedys and stuff like that. And SLC Punk was like set in
hey,
the 80s, right?
if, yes, if you were a white person in the 80s, though, you could make a lot of money and, you know, Reagan was backing you up and they were locking up all the black people.
Isn't that also
And,
very similar to the
there was
50s?
this, they decided to start some wars and it was cool. Yeah, except that, you know, in the 50s, people felt more bad about it. No, the 50s and 80s are actually very similar time periods. You're absolutely right. There was an economic boom, sort of, except there was a big collapse in the end of the 80s. But yeah, the 50s and 80s are actually very similar time periods in
Yes.
terms of fake, pointless wars against black people.
Hmm.
Um, well,
True.
and
Let's
there's a
not make it
reason that the
about
movie
race.
Back to the Future jumps between 1955 and 1985.
Oh yeah. There's parallels
Do you want
there.
to keep going with tradition? Yeah, there
Let's
are. There's a
do
lot of them.
honor. Honor.
Tradition and honor. Very Atreides.
Yeah.
Sons of the Hawk.
Yeah.
So
Or
yeah,
daughters, whatever.
yes, I would agree. Like, probably the younger Tea Partiers want the 80s, the older Tea Partiers want the 50s. Before all those civil rights people in the 60s and all those,
Gay stuff.
Clintonites in the 90s.
Yeah.
Don't even get us started on the aughts, the naughties.
The knots. The aughts. I always liked that. I got made
Audis.
fun of the other day for calling it something like aught 4 or something like that. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, like oh 04, aught 4. And they're like, you can't call it that.
Aught 4 is better than the naughties, personally.
Naughties just sound a little bit naughty.
Yeah, I can't really get behind the full libertarianism because from what I've seen historically of laissez-faire capitalism based upon robber barons and the jungle and
The jungle?
the 16-hour Upton Sinclair and the 16-hour work week and Dickens novels and Henry Ford and the eugenics movement.
Oh man,
Like,
not good. What
laissez-faire
is
capitalism
the
has
Brave
kind of
New
shown
World
us that to
thing?
be a
It's
bad
like they
idea.
do like the Henry Ford tea, right? That's like their cross.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
That's right. I read the book.
That was one of Pup's favorite novels. That was actually her favorite novel.
Hmm. Okay. Um. So, is inflation a bad thing?
Yeah, I think inflation's a bad thing. I don't know how you get around it considering that money is a social construct.
Yeah, it's like a
But
sort of a concept, unless you
inflation
have it like
itself.
with something that's
Do you want
tied to
archery
something.
next?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like as
mean,
in like the gold standard. Like if
I
something is
think it.
directly equal to like something you can't really get away with
Yes,
it.
but gold is also a social construct.
But at least it's like a
I
finite
mean, gold
amount
has
of
value
it.
now, but
You know what I mean? I guess you could
until we
like,
find more.
but it's hard to. What if we had it like attached to something like eggs or I don't know. Like the Mayans used to actually use cacao nibs as like currency, and you could
Do we
actually
want to
have like a
accept Elizabeth's embassy?
sure. What would the Atreides do? What are we losing?
Accept an embassy.
Okay, let's accept it.
We're not losing anything.
Well, then accept it if there's nothing to do but gain.
I mean, I forgot the question you were asking.
We were talking
What
about
were you asking
inflation.
about?
Inflation. How dare you forget
Yes.
what we're talking about? Bad Zero. Very bad.
You just went off on this long rambling tangent thing, and I was like, what are we talking about?
Long rambling. I never go
Inflation.
on long rambling things.
Yeah, that's my job. Tiffany. How dare you?
I don't know. Anyway,
Um,
so yeah, inflation, gold standard, Mayan went off on the cacao nib standard, and they would have like like groves of chocolate trees or whatever, cacao trees, and then they would just grow money when they needed money. Which is
I
kind of
like
cool.
it. I support this plan.
So there could be something like that, like gold or something that would be more stable. But I,
Well,
how then could you like do the things like um, raise minimum wage?
so you would have to have a base standard of living. There's a big discussion right now of what's called the post-scarcity economy, in that eventually we are going to hit a point in our society where
What's on fire down by those horses?
there are people attacking our country. It's a real problem.
Oh, that's very bad. We should take care
Yeah,
of that.
I'm on it. Don't
Good,
even worry.
good.
So there's a concept called the post-scarcity economy
Like in Star
where,
Trek?
yes, like in Star Trek,
Yeah.
where essentially robots take all of our jobs,
Yeah,
and
like in
then
the
we have
Matrix.
to, less like in the Matrix. And essentially we have to come up with a new way to live that's non-capitalist
Mm-hmm.
by virtue of the fact that you can no longer enshrine work in the way we know it now as inherently good, because there's no point in humans doing that sort of work. It's actually wasteful for humans to do that sort of work.
But what if they want to? What if it's like, I want to have like a garden or something?
That's different. I'm talking about like manufacturing work,
Oh, I
or
see.
even possibly like design work.
Really? I think that would be
There,
something that would be really hard for robots to do. I guess you could have like really intense algorithms that are like, this looks good. One of my relatives is like looking into that in like a neurological way. Like, what do people react to insofar as like colors and pictures and things?
well, and there's the question of like robots that can design and build their own robots,
Which
and
is
will design and build
scary.
robots that are better at doing jobs than we are. Like a robot that builds other robots that then build robots that are better robots at, say, building cars than we could ever be as
Well, that's
humans. And
like
at that
maybe
point,
good,
nobody
but I
ever
think it's
needs to
also
build a car
scary because
again.
it's like giving up control, and you have to like
Yeah,
trust that robots are looking out for us.
that
Which,
implies that giving up control is frightening.
well, it is a little. I mean, like I think a lot of people are scared of giving up control. That's why people are like scared of flying or going on roller coasters or things because you have to not be in control, or even riding in like somebody's car because you're not in control.
Eh.
Lots of people are scared of not being in control. I think it's kind of a
Yeah, but
fallacy, but people are still scared of it. But it's
it's
giving up a
fair.
control of like a
People
larger
are scared
thing.
of things.
You know what I mean? Like you're out of the loop.
Yes, you are giving up control of significant portions of your life. That is undeniable. But it will allow you to have a better life overall because eventually there comes a point, like if you think of humans as inherently creative entities, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
think of the idea that humans are meant to be are meant to create and make life better for other humans. Essentially it'll be a human creates an idea. Like a human comes up with an idea for the car.
Mm-hmm.
And then we design a robot to build the first car. And we tell the robot, this is what this machine will be used for. And then the robot says, oh, that's what you're going to use this machine for? Well, then you should put this, this, and this in it.
But
And
what if it's
then the robot makes it better.
we have to like make this farm to like feed these people, and then it's like, well, the farm can only sustain so many people, and like you have already exceeded the amount of people that this farm can feed in this city, and so they're like, well, you should just kill some of the people in the city.
Why would you build a robot to do that?
Maybe not to kill people.
There's this strange assumption that I've mentioned before that everyone assumes everyone else is an idiot.
Yeah, you haven't mentioned it before to me
Why would
specifically,
someone
but you have. I'm
Why
sure you
would
have
someone build a robot to do that? Like, it's the Skynet question. In the time period when everyone was always afraid of the Cold War going horribly wrong, building a robot to man our military defenses made sense. The idea that robot could take over our military and use our weapons against us was a metaphor for how stupid the nuclear showdown was. It wasn't for most people an idea that this would actually happen. It was a statement that having this much weaponry just sitting around is a dumb idea.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
Nowadays, people apply it to all sorts of really weird stuff. Who would build a robot who designs things like... If you're building a robot to provide food for the planet, why
Yeah.
would you build that robot to do too little food and then tell you to kill people? Robots don't magically do that.
They might.
Humans don't even generally think that way.
No, lots of humans that were. I have met at least a handful of people that would think that way. And some of them are like joking, and some of them, I don't know if they're joking, man. I don't know.
What social policy would you like?
Let's do something honor. Let's do discipline.
All right, we can get a warrior's code or discipline. Okay, I'll have to build more military units if we want to do discipline.
But are we getting attacked? Like, we're actively being attacked. We should be doing
We
military
are
stuff.
actively being attacked. That's true. I should build more military units anyway. Oh, and we finished archery.
Yeah. Shoot them!
All right,
But aim for knees
shoot
and
them
things.
in their stupid faces. Okay, you know what? We'll deal with that later. The thing is that even though we like to talk about how, like, if you are... I'm an independent, so I don't like to talk about this, but if you're a liberal, you like to talk about how the conservatives are trying to screw up the country. And if you're a conservative, people like to talk about how the liberals are screwing up the country. But mostly, like, everyone genuinely thinks they're trying to do what's best for the country.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
And
that's like the concept, or I think that is at least the guy. This is so cynical. That's at least the guys that they're working under. Is that they're trying to do good.
jeez.
I know it's so cynical, but I think most of the time, most people are trying to do what's right to them or for them.
Yeah. Um hmm.
Mathematics or optics?
Ooh, let's do optics.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the eternal question of what does that actually look like?
Yeah.
But, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
People,
Like,
like,
robots could be like, now we're just going to feed you soylent food because, like, normal food is wasteful. And then they'll just, like, we won't be able to eat steaks anymore. And I really like steaks. I know I shouldn't. It's, like, the way that steaks are made now, very cruel, or can be cruel. But
do
they are
you
delicious.
comprehend those as a different thing from saying that you have to kill off people?
Hmm?
Like, you understand that the idea that if you design a robot to go into food production, it might only plant healthy vegetarian crops is a fundamentally different thing than not planting enough crops and then saying, kill some humans to prevent scarcity. Like, you understand those are different things, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
Those
was
are
going
not
off on a
equivalent.
different tangent. I was trying to segue into the
I know a
soylent
lot
food.
of people would. Yeah, like lots of people complain and are like, oh, I could never survive as a vegetarian.
Oh yeah,
But you
there
know
are
what? They're
those
wrong.
people, and they're wrong. But
Like,
I will say,
and
being an
how do I
omnivore,
know this?
I like
Yeah.
eating veggies. I love veggies, but I also like eating fish and meat occasionally and bacon. I love bacon. I'm sorry, piggies, you're delicious. And pork chops
You
and
probably wouldn't have to.
chicken and all of the other good things that like are vegetarian that are like good but also maybe wasteful, like asparagus or almonds are kind of wasteful, or what else? Strawberries are kind of wasteful.
Almonds are super wasteful. You probably wouldn't have to give up fish, first of all.
But what if we're overfishing the oceans and the robots are like, no more fishing?
Aquaponics. You might have to give up stuff like salmon and tuna.
But then like rich people could afford them. It'd just be like the poor people that are like, whatever.
In a post-scarcity economy, there's fewer rich people.
Do you think so?
Rich as a concept may actually. Well, so think about it this way.
I guess
For
it's
a
like
1,000 years, there was a feudal system.
thousands of years. Or 1,000? I'm gonna go with thousands.
Yes, depending. Let's go with thousands for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
For thousands, because like we'll just cut out the Greek Empire and the Roman Empire, and all those things. I was thinking of specifically the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages and medieval time periods and the Renaissance. But let's just say for thousands of years there was the feudal system, but feudal systems now are considered like backward systems. Like
Yeah.
there are still places that have feudal systems, but they're not considered to be good or pinnacles of achievement or anything. Like nowadays, if you have a feudal system, it's considered a bad thing, and that you're probably pretty backwards.
But it works like reasonably well for like for a long time, for a while at least.
Right. There's
Although,
going to be a
like,
time period where the idea of rich people and poor people is basically going to be looked back on as a quaint and outdated concept.
well, but like we think about hunter gatherers, and like I think a lot of people really like that, but they didn't have rich people and poor people. They just had everybody because everybody was contributing the same amount basically to the group. They didn't need to have the differentiation. It wasn't like some people were telling some people to work the farm and other people to like go to be soldiers. Everybody was kind of had the same job of hunting and or gathering.
Right. And in a post-scarcity society, we'll go the other direction. Like, once we reach a point where you don't need humans to make things, then you remove that need to have rich people to fund things. Rich people, like, rich people is kind of a feudal thing, right? Like, rich people works in feudalism because you need one rich person who is the king to kind of organize everything, and then they get their tribute from the people below them.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like a pyramid scheme, right? Like there's
well,
more poor people.
it's
To
like the
support, like, a
pyramids.
smaller. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, also
Egyptians.
it was just really hard. Like, if you were it's hard to be a farmer and to train to fight because farming takes up a lot of time and a lot of energy. Like, I know that every third fantasy novel has some farm kid who magically knows how to wield a sword, but I mean, we both fenced. Learning to be a good sword fighter is really hard. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. You have
and
to
you've
just
seen the
you have to
amount
be
of
like
time
Wesley and like
that
train
like
yourself to
Sue
only
puts
need
out on
2
his
hours of
farm.
sleep, and then you can like use all the
Right.
day to farm and then all of the night to learn how to sword play.
Yeah, there you go. And then your body will never heal because you're not sleeping enough.
I know, right? Or you
But
have to be like
yeah, look
Tristan
at how
from
much
Stardust
time.
and have like a sweet montage.
Nice montages are like the bane of humanity. Gotta have a montage
Montage. Thank
when you
you.
gotta look like you spend a lot of time.
Spade out.
When you really gotta get things done. Um, yeah, montages, bane of society. Awesome. You gotta have them.
Yeah. They
Nice
definitely.
derailment. Yes, and look at
Sorry.
how much time our mutual friend Sue spends on his farm.
Yeah. Not very
It
much.
takes a lot of effort to keep that running. No, he spends a lot of time out at the farm. During the summer,
Oh yeah. Okay. During the summer, yeah. But I was thinking like specifically like training those stupid horses and stuff, keeping them
oh, well, that's
rideable.
true. He doesn't have, I believe, a, like, food farm.
No, he doesn't. He just has like a it's land farm, and he still has to like go out there and like upkeep buildings and blah blah blah, and keep things from like burning down and take care
Yep.
of the
We're in
horses.
the classical era.
The
Woo! What
what
do you want to
era?
learn? Classical era. The Greeks.
Yay!
We're Greeks now.
What? We're not
We're in the
Greeks.
Greek and Roman era.
Um.
This is when House Atreides was founded, so choose wisely.
Oh, gosh. Philosophy or mathematics?
It's up to you. Which one you want?
Mathematics.
Okay. Found a pantheon.
Yeah. Wait, are we
Oh
starting a
man, this
pantheon?
is. We
Yeah, we
are.
are. Um,
All right, I'll start at the top.
ancestor worship would be cool. God of the Sea would be cool.
It's true, although we are apparently near a lake and not an ocean, so I'm going to have to find us
Hmm.
an ocean.
Messenger of the gods. Okay, can you scroll down a little? I like monument of the gods.
Let's do
Oh,
that one then.
but we have a river. We could do sacred waters.
We're not really close to it, although we could start putting cities close to it. How about Monument to the Gods?
Let's do monument to the gods.
It's really useful now. It becomes less useful as the game goes on, but it's super useful right now.
Okay. We can do something else as the like game goes on, right?
All right, so,
Right? Can we? Can we do something else?
right.
Can we change in the future?
Well, later in the game, we get the option to found our religion. That was just our pantheon.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Like, later we'll get to found our church.
Uh-huh.
Well, if we hurry up and build more religious sites, which I kind of de-emphasize when playing with you, but I can kick it in a bit.
What? Why?
Because aren't you an atheist? I don't want to offend you. I know how you atheists get.
I'm so offended. How dare you suggest that something, I don't know.
So yeah, like,
Kind of atheist.
economics for a very, 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 very long time was an agreement between two groups that you will protect me if I will create food for you.
Yeah, but then like it's not like serfs had like a particularly good life though, compared
No,
to
it's
like the
not.
barons or kings or earls or whatever.
Right, and that's where of like noblesse oblige comes from. Like, yes, you have a good life most of the time, and when a fight starts, you're expected to be front lines of that. And then they kind of like then it kind of got screwed up because peasants began to get conscripted and have to fight on the front lines so people could have bigger wars. And then like bows and arrows came out and people were like, "What do you mean you're killing off all the nobles? Aren't you going to ransom us back to us?" As like, nope, 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 nope. We have longbows.
Ha ha ha.
And like, and now guns, and now our nobility just avoids going to war altogether, and the entire process of like economy has changed.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we
Okay.
have a big group of people who like being rich but don't really have a good reason for it. Like they aren't we've had a rising tide in this country for a long time. Bunch of companies are making record profits. It's not lifting all ships. Like they aren't paying their workers better. They're just now considering it because people got angry. If those people had been, like I said last time, paying people better to begin with, then not as many people would be angry. Like you only need to raise the minimum wage when people can't afford to live on it. So if like companies believe the minimum wage as is fine, then they need to look around at what's going on in their communities and see why people want it raised, and not make the same base assumption you were making before, that people are just greedy and like can't save or can't do their finances or somehow are inherently negative. Like, look at people and don't be all Pollyanna about it and think, oh, well, everyone is perfect, but think these people just want to be able to live and take care of their families.
Yeah.
They can't do that with what we're giving them. The people who work at my company also have to live on food stamps, which, by the way, is a government subsidy for a company. So Republicans and libertarians, get on that.
They would just say, well, just don't do food stamps then.
No, if you literally can't afford to live without it, then that's a problem. I know people would say, well, you should die instead.
Yeah. I don't
And
know.
the same people who said they would let veterans die if given the opportunity.
I've never met that person as that is distinctly like anti-patriotic.
Not according to the Republican primaries in 2012 when it was asked as a question.
You'll have to dig
Yeah,
that up.
it was a healthcare question. Like, if the question was, would a wounded person, like veteran, get healthcare or die, which was better? And people cheered when it was like, let them die.
That's really sad. It's really, really sad.
That's why there's fewer Republican debates this year than there were in 2012,
Well,
because they
that's
got a bit out of hand last time.
terrible. I can understand why. That's really, really, really not good. I'm not a huge military type person, but that's really, really terrible. I'd rather have a smaller military that takes better care of the people that are doing the fighting.
But anyway, back to the point is that eventually you will hit a point where like humans no longer need to manage resources. And once you hit that point, games like the one I'm playing will become pointless. Also, like
Wait, why will
people
they become
will
pointless? I'm lost here.
they
Go
won't
back.
actually become pointless. They'll everything like people will only play these types of games if they want to learn how to run stuff.
Yeah.
Like what it'll come down to is machines will just do a better job of managing resources. And it will be undeniable, but that means that there will come a point where nobody can get rich anymore. Because most of the time you get rich by manipulating resources that limited people have access to.
Like food or water or oil or
Like,
something.
yeah, like currency
Or the
manipulation, which a
spice.
whole bunch of banks, yes, like the spice, or oil, or the banks that just got sued for currency manipulation.
Okay. Well,
All of those things. Yeah.
because like you'll be putting into the economy like the same amount, like basically like your ideas.
Yeah, well, think of the time when you can 3D print food and you just need the raw resources, and somewhere a machine creates the raw resources and then
But
channels
how
them
will
to
you
everybody
flavor
and
it?
just makes meals with 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 spices.
Yeah, but then you have to get the
I
spices. You have to grow the spices.
Okay, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to say that I don't make the base assumption that food has to taste terrible. As a pescatarian, I often have to think about how I spice my food because I can't just hit it with a mallet, then throw it in the oven until it bleeds.
It's not supposed. It's
Um,
supposed to be done bleeding when you throw it in the oven. Okay.
that's not how I've seen your husband eat steaks. Oh,
Oh, he's actually really good at making steaks. So come on, do it.
doesn't he make them super rare?
He makes them kind of rare. He makes them on the rare side of medium rare, or yeah, he makes them pretty
But
rare. But I like
yeah,
it. It's yummy, and you put
right.
like
That's what I'm
stuff on
saying.
it. And like I said, I'm an omnivore. My husband is an omnivore. We still eat
I know.
vegetables and do things like that. And also, you have to make dessert, and that's
You
all
don't have to
spices.
make dessert.
No, I'm pretty
You
sure you
have to
have
make
to make
dessert.
dessert. You have to make dessert. Or
What
what's
do
the
you,
point of eating?
what social policy do you want to adopt?
Military caste? Or what is the other thing of tradition? The little. Which one do you think? Military caste or legalism?
I think aristocracy is the best one,
Really?
but
Okay, let's do aristocracy.
yes,
I'll listen to you
we're
this
the
one time.
Atreides.
Yeah, tradies.
Um,
Also, what
God,
do
what
you
was
think
I?
our lake looks like?
Our lake?
Yeah.
Some sort of manta ray?
Hmm. Okay.
So, um,
Okay, sorry. We got
but
distracted. But
yeah,
food does. I feel like
the
I continue to feel like one of the jobs of food is to taste good. Like it's supposed to be
and
nutritious. It's supposed to be like blah blah blah. But at least one meal a
and
day
the
is
ability
supposed
to
to taste
spice your
good.
food should be part of the basic components. And in fact, a lot of spices like salt are things the body needs.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, you're assuming that things will be negative when there's no good reason or proof there will be. Like the
Well,
assumption
I
should
think
be
that the
that if you are
assumption is that
creating
like
food, it should be good.
people will like assume things about others that they don't necessarily know, like people that are like homeless people or people on food stamps can only buy certain kinds of food on food stamps, but then maybe they don't have the equipment or knowledge or know how to use the food that they can buy on food stamps. You know what I mean? Like if you can only buy like rice, potatoes, carrots, like raw materials, but then you like work like a lot of time, or you just don't know how to make food. Using those raw materials is going to taste bad and maybe not be as healthy as like they could be.
Right, and that's what I was saying about the safety net is if somebody needs food stamps, you should also provide them with things like a rice cooker and show them here are the vegetables you can buy, here's how you make rice in the rice cooker, here's how you set the timer, and here's how you put vegetables in the steamer, and if you do all that when you get home from work, food will be ready. It will save you time.
Yay! And also
There's no
taste good.
reason you can't do that except that we refuse to fund it. It would be cheaper for the government overall to give people a $25 rice cooker and then
Or
say,
even a fifteen
here,
dollar rice cooker. My rice cooker is a $15 rice cooker, and it works like a
does it have a
champ.
timer?
It's just like you just set it to like start. It's like you press the little lever down, and it works for like 20 minutes or so, and then it goes pink. And
Oh,
it's
see, mine, I paid $10 more, and mine has a 12-hour timer.
so like you
So,
can
like,
set the timer and then start it, and it'll like start 12 hours later or however many hours later you
Yeah,
need it.
if you're working 10 hours that day, or like before you go to bed at night, if you want to pack a lunch, I actually recommended that for a coworker who wanted to make bento boxes. I said, yeah,
Oh.
get a rice cooker with a timer, and then the rice will cook while you're sleeping, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
wake up in the morning with your rice done to make the bento boxes.
Oh, that's a cute idea. I
These
have to
should
like
be
get up
part of the
early and
safety
make it
net.
if I want to have a
Like,
bento.
if you're only going to let people buy rice, which is actually a really good way to do it, even though like, well, and then we'll get our TPP will probably pass
What's
unless the House of
TPP?
Representatives, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Also, you're the worst. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal.
I'm the
Um.
worst. I
Anyway,
got rocks to
without
climb.
getting
Okay.
without getting too far into what the Trans-Pacific Partnership is,
Oh, I have
it's
heard of
essentially
this.
a
It's like
trade
we're
deal.
shipping jobs to like overseas again, right?
Yeah, that's a possible result and sort of a likely one. But
Mm.
ignoring that potential controversy for now, we can come back to that potential controversy later, where we could do a whole episode on NAFTA during the Clinton years and how similar it looks to the TPP
Okay, let's do
and
that
how
next
it's being
time.
negotiated in secret. But the point that I'm
Oh,
trying to make
negotiated in
is,
secret sounds bad. Okay, we'll have to talk about this next time.
but the point I'm trying to make is that we have things like the TPP
Mm-hmm.
that could make it easier to trade with places like Indonesia, so you could buy Indonesian rice where they're not having a drought instead of California rice where they are having a drought.
But rice comes from
And then
Louisiana.
you could put it in your rice cooker and it would cook, and then all you have to and you'd have steamed vegetables with it. And that's a pretty good meal.
It is. It's a really
Like,
good meal, I think. And you have like some
and
beans and rice and veggies. That's like all you need, and
and
it's
you can
yummy.
use rice cookers as a crock pot,
Really?
or yeah, some of them. Some of them can be used as just like a hot pot to boil food. I mean, they
Hmm.
essentially boil water.
That's true, I guess. I hadn't thought about
You
that.
could, like, if someone goes
And then you
on
can use
food
your crock
stamps,
pot to make dessert, because you can use crock pots to make like breads and stuff. I found that out.
that that's true. So, for example, if someone goes on food stamps, they go to the food stamps office, and they get a crock pot and a rice maker,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that cooks food for them while they're out looking for work.
Yeah.
But they can only buy certain foods. Would you be against that?
I don't know. I feel like
I
people
mean, a crock pot's not that hard to use. A rice
I
cooker
feel
is
like
not
that
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 hard to
should be
use.
like a good thing. I think most people would probably use that, but there would still be some people that would want to still buy like pre-made food.
There would be. And as soon as they're off food stamps, they can buy all the pre-made food they want.
That's true, I guess. I don't know. I don't like telling people what to do though.
I don't like telling people what to do either. Currently, we live in a capitalist society. You're going to have to do a at least some work. It's sort of unfortunate. Again, outerkist. I think our society is sort of ridiculous the way it works right now, because we kind of ignore how people would work best in favor of forcing them to work in certain ways that have been obsolete for 150 years. But, well, not 150, maybe 110. But again, that's the society we live in. It's not going to change immediately. But this is something we could do. Like, if you don't want people buying Doritos and Gatorade, make it easy for them to get food that they will eat. And to do that, you're
But
going to have to
Doritos
probably
and
spend a
Gatorade
little
is
bit
so
more initially.
yummy.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's going to
yummy.
cost you a little bit more initially. Like, to every family of 4 who goes on food stamps, you get a free crock pot and a free rice maker.
Why does it have to be a family of two? Why not just one person?
I don't know. Yeah, you know what? Every person.
How about maybe to every family? Because you can be a family of one, or you and your pet.
The agreement is that you have to file taxes.
Okay. Whoever you're
There's the
filing taxes with, that's who you get a crock pot with, or a rice maker.
A tax defined family. How's that sound?
Okay. And you shouldn't put your pets on taxes.
Agreed.
Unless they're part of your business, like Caesar Milan. Is that his name? The dog whisperer?
I don't know. Maybe.
They're like tax write-offs for him or something. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, that's
I
neither
did
here nor
not
there.
know that. I believe you. Woo! We built a temple of Artemis.
Yeah, Artemis! Bitchin'.
We can now build archers faster.
Yay! Okay,
So
well,
let's
how long have we
build
been
some
recording,
archers.
Zero?
I don't know. You're the one who can check the clock.
I think we're just coming up on an hour. So we didn't get to everything. We just barely touched on Soylent, but we went over like government kind of stuff, and that was very interesting. We did not get to the Santa Barbara pipeline, which I'm super duper pissed
Well,
about.
fine. Let's talk about the Santa Barbara pipeline real quick, because that's going to age faster than Soylent will. I'd
Okay.
honestly rather we held off on Soylent till I'm able to afford to buy some, because I really want to try it out now that they've got their shipping times down.
Okay, cool.
But
Well, we'll
let's
save
let's
that for
do a
later
quick
then.
talk about the
But the
Santa
Santa Barbara
Barbara
pipeline
pipeline.
was like, okay, there's pipelines all over the place, and because let me look it up so I'll get it right. The Santa Barbara pipeline was going over like state lines. They got the PAAP, Plains All American Pipeline. How American is that?
Pretty
Um,
American.
super. Um,
America.
fuck yeah. Which I do love America, but come on. They didn't have like they grandfathered themselves into having a non-locking mechanism or like a not auto shut off thing. So they it was like unsafe, I think, for them to have it. You read the article, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so it's a breach spilled 105,000 gallons of oil into the Pacific
It's
Ocean
actually
onto the
really
Keflan.
similar to the BP oil disaster.
Yeah, except that this is like right in my hometown, and
Unless you care more.
does I care more? When you have to see it and deal with it, and like your beaches closed because of it, which is also similar to Florida. I mean, like I'm sure that they had oily substances washing up on their beaches, and they had to close beaches, which is part of like the draw to their state. It's part of the draw to our state, to our city. Is bad. It's really, really, really bad. Anyway, the pipeline is the only pipeline in Santa Barbara County that is not required to have an automatic shutoff switch due to a court battle that occurred 30 years ago. Required successfully ordering the late 1980s that should require the subject to federal oversight because the pipeline is part of an interstate network. It's the only major pipeline that doesn't have an auto shut off. For us, it's routine. And so their reasoning for that was that there's pressure that builds up, and so if they burst the automatic shut off, then how are they going to turn it off? And blah 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 blah.
Seems
But
legit.
they're like, this is much safer for controllers who understand the hydraulics of a crude oil pipeline to shut it down, using a planned sequence of steps for a computer to automatically close a valve on oil that's traveling in a confined space under high pressure.
I'm sure that was true of the computers 30 years ago. Do
I'm
they
sure.
understand that computer like technology advances?
Well, but they're
Like
lazy.
they
I mean,
understand.
like, that's the thing. They're lazy and they don't want to have to redo the pipeline and redo the computers.
Well, and this is what I was talking about with capitalism. It seems like a really good idea to make it laissez-faire, and then you realize that people, once they have a business, don't want to spend more money.
Yeah,
Like
they just want
they
to
don't
just
feel the need to
keep
upgrade their
going.
30-year-old computers. Their 30-year-old computers don't need to be upgraded because it would cost money. That
Anyway, environmental advocates say the company has a poor track record when it comes to pipeline safety. Center of Biological Diversity says the U.S. government initiated 20 enforcement actions against the PAAP since 2006, mostly involving corrosion control and maintenance problems, and was fined over $100,000 in 2009 alone. So yeah, it seems like people should have seen this coming, and then they didn't, or they did maybe, but they didn't do anything about it because that would be expensive, and so now it's
yes,
fucking up. But also, there's not only that it's fucking up and messing up the environment, which we only get one of, but it's wasteful of the oil. You know, like the cool thing about we were doing sort of a Dune thing themed concept tonight, but like the Fremen took really, really good care of their water. Like they never wasted it. That was the whole concept of like a a still suit is they had like their noses plugged. They had to like not sweat on their palms. You know, like they
I have an
really,
article I need to send you about learning about water conservation from desert nomads. I
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
to send it to you today, or maybe I did and you just haven't read it.
Maybe I've
It's
been
really good.
bad about that. Next time, again, next time.
Yeah.
And we need to be that level of thinking about oil because it's super toxic. It's really bad
Well,
to be around
and
in like its
so
raw state, but it's also really kind of precious. Like it's becoming more and more valuable. And so we shouldn't be
so
just
we were
throwing it out there, wasting it on the environment, which it doesn't is not good for anyways. That's what I'm saying.
so Rose and I were watching Cosmos the other day while we were doing rebraiding because we rebraided last Saturday.
Okay.
And
You're
the
talking about your
awesome and
hair, right? You
amazing,
rebraided your hair, just for
yeah,
clarification.
and the awesome and amazing Neil deGrasse Tyson. Uh, I know how to say his name correctly, guys. But it's funnier to say it that way. Was talking about ice ages.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that my new argument against religious people who decide that climate change like can't happen or slash is like temperature change is ordained by God slash or resources were given to us. I'm just gonna say, well, we have these resources and we have the ability to raise the climate by a couple degrees. Maybe we're supposed to save all those resources for 50,000 years until the next ice age, and we just have them now to teach us how to use them. Because it doesn't matter how old you think the Earth is if you're looking to the future. Like, in 50,000 years, we're going to need those resources because it's going to be an ice age, and we're going to want to warm the planet up to stay in a comfortable temperature for us.
That's very true.
So we
It's
better not
thoughtful.
get rid of them
But
now.
the problem
Like,
is, that religious people, or at least some religious people, think that they're always saying that the world is going to end like a couple years down the line, and so they're not super worried about it. Like if you
that's a
have,
very small sect.
what is the world? What is the concept of like the end of the Bible? The apocalypse.
Revelations?
Yeah,
The apocalypse. Well,
like the old school
that
apocalypse, like
sort
Jesus
of.
comes back, and everybody like
Oh,
1 in 3 people like vanishes, and you chose
that's
the right
not how
God, and
that's
so
written.
you are the one of the ones that finished. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Your interpretation of Revelations is awesome.
Thanks. I don't know if that's a good thing.
It's certainly amusing. Sure, let's go with that. Look, there are evangelical sects that believe in hot evangelical sects, but also believe that the world will be ending. However, there are also lots of Christians who believe that nobody knows the date and time, as it's said in the Bible, of when the world ends. And thus, like, for all we know, the oil in the ground is a herald that's going to be 50,000 years. And we have got to take care of our stuff now because we're going to need it in 50,000 years when
No, I
when the
mean
next
I
ice age
like it.
hits.
I like the argument, but I'm trying to think of what the counter argument would be, and I'm sure that that would be one of them.
The world's going to end before. Well, then you just count. Well, then you can, and this will get into a whole biblical discussion, which is a totally different cast.
Mm-hmm.
But that Rose wants me to do. But essentially,
We'll see.
like there's a biblical part that says we don't know the date and time of his return. To think you do is erroneous. And so if you are assuming that you understand why these resources were put here, then you're the wrong one because you don't know like God's plan. And this is a possible use of them. It's not the only
Mm-hmm.
one, but it's one that we can see based on what we know now. And
Yeah.
it does not matter how old you think the world is to believe that another ice age may come, and at that point we may need to raise the temperature of the earth by a couple degrees. And maybe that's the point.
Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, let's
Yep.
do our closing thoughts or
With
my closing thoughts.
regards to the like you can't ban fracking in Texas and the Santa Barbara pipeline and really poor decisions being made by companies. Seriously, guys, like this is why you think these people would put in more safeguards if they didn't have to worry about any sort of regulation. They're not putting in the safeguards now when they have to worry about regulation.
I hear
I
you.
don't see how taking away those regulations, like when they've shown they can't act responsibly
It's like with
when there's
children. Like
some measure of
if a teenager
rules.
can't act responsibly, then you don't be like, well, I guess I'm still gonna give you the car after they've wrecked your previous car.
Sure, let's go with that. That sounds very close to home. All right, closing thoughts. What are your thoughts on tonight's show, Chicory, as we wrap it
Boy.
up?
I think I like the concept of having an ant government that like is there for you when you need it to be there, but not oppressing you in your day to day life. I guess not a big brother or a big sister government, not a creepy uncle government, but like a nice aunt government. That's what I'm down with. Um, I'm a little worried about inflation, but I don't see like a another concept. I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed about the pipeline and how it's just been treated. I really hope that they do take the whoever is responsible for overseeing the pipeline to court and try to like put them in jail or something. I don't know. Just punish them in some way for being so neglectful. And I wish we could do that like go back in time and do it with the guy from BP and be like, "No, you messed up so badly. So like basically maliciously that you deserve to go to jail." It's like if you accidentally hit somebody with like your car, you know? You didn't mean to hit them with the car, but you were driving recklessly.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Maybe that's
Reckless
not.
capitalism.
Yeah, it's reckless capitalism. It's bad. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking
You're
about
gonna
that.
lose your libertarian card.
I think I'm gonna have to turn it back in. I think I really liked a lot of things about libertarianism, mostly like the freedom and things, but the more I'm learning about capitalism and certain aspects of other people's lives and thinking about things a little bit more deeply, the more I'm like, maybe capitalism or maybe libertarianism is not the way to go. Maybe I'll switch back. I mean, I feel like it should be okay to say there's good things about this and there's bad things about this, and go from there, I guess. How did we do on the game? What's going on?
We're doing pretty well. We've kept a small empire, but we've cleaned out most of the bandits, and we're gonna need to expand soon.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
mostly we're strongly into the classical age. I'm just knocking out a couple of old stuff, and we're a very social kingdom.
Yay! That's nice. Not
If
socialism kind of kingdom, just social as in we have a lot of
Well,
friends.
we're an honorable and a traditional kingdom, so we're not really socialist.
No, not really at all. But we do have friends with other nations, so we're a social nation, as in a social butterfly.
Yep. Okay, so we'll be putting links in the doobly doo of this, so you guys can check them out based on some of the stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
I like to call it the bucket. I'm gonna call it the bucket moving forward. I
The
know the Vlog
bucket?
Brothers and
Yeah, they call it the doobly doo. I was like, we can't call it doobly doo. They
yeah,
call
we
it that.
can. They took it from what's his name? Vsauce? Is that Vsauce's originally? Anyway,
I don't know.
it's not their original idea.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
I like calling it the bucket because
Okay,
it
we'll put
hangs
it called the
below
bucket.
us.
Ah.
So we'll
Okay.
put links in the bucket. Um, yeah,
Please
assuming anyone sees
comment
this one.
with your thoughts and
No,
feelings.
see us
And
on Twitter.
oh yeah, tweet us. Don't comment because we don't have comments.
Right,
But
comments are disabled.
yeah, don't do comments. Just Twitter with us, and yeah, subscribe and like and all that good jazz.